Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It is what Tuesday? That means it's only time for what? Our final chop it up of this season's Ready to Love. We're going to be recapping and reviewing the reunion part 2. So if you are here, I want you to go ahead, jump on. I want you to like and share. Also, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you're watching via Facebook Live or if you're watching via YouTube, let me know where you are coming in from. And y'all see, I've titled this When the Player Gets Played. And so you all have already watched it. It was some kind of interesting. Woo! So we're going to chat up what happened on the part 2 of the reunion for Ready to Love season 3. So let me know that you're here. I am going to share myself, so I'm going to look down for a second so that I can share this as well. And let me know, how did y'all feel about this particular season? How did y'all feel? I'm going to let you know how I felt. I was going to hold it off, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you how I felt. I felt some kind of way about this particular season because, in all honesty, for me, it was really kind of not like Ready to Love. It was kind of like, I don't think just about anybody on here was ready to love. They might have been ready to do a whole lot of things, but I don't think they were ready to love by what I saw. And let me just say that they didn't seem to be ready to love by what I witnessed. So let me know if y'all felt like they were really ready to love. I didn't feel that myself, but who knows? Who knows? All right, so let's chop up this season. And right before we do that, most of you all know I'm a minister, I'm best-selling author, and certified Christian life coach. And this Thursday, I am doing a free, touch your neighbor and say free webinar on how to discover your purpose. It's called Discover Your Brilliance. And it'll be this Thursday, January the 28th at 8 p.m. There's going to be a link in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook where you can register. It is free, but you must register to attend that. And I would love to have you be a part of that. So remember to either right now go ahead and, well, no, not right now because I don't have it there right now. So after this, jump in the description box on YouTube and in the comments on Facebook and click that link. I would love to have you be a part of that. If you want to know your purpose, this is the year to be walking in purpose and in destiny. And I don't want you to wait another moment to really pinpoint what that is. And so I'm going to give you some strategies, some tips, some tools to narrow it down so that you can focus on this year and do what God has called you to do. All right, so let's chop this up. Ready to Love reunion part 2. And y'all, like I said, for me, they should have titled this Ready to Not Love, because this was like ready to be on TV. Because I don't know if any of the individuals, any of the singles that came to this season were looking for love. They weren't ready. They might have been looking for love. Maybe let me change that. They might have been looking for love, but they weren't ready. Yeah, they weren't ready. And so we need y'all to do a little better job vetting on next season. And it is the pandemic. Maybe that kind of hindered, the selection process of getting everybody together. But this season was a doozy. I'll say that for me, it wasn't as interesting as last season, but it had its own little moments. And so, of course, I have my trusty notes here, and so I'm going to be running down my notes because I don't want to miss anything. And so y'all feel free to jump in the comments as we are going through this. And of course, when we left off on the last episode, they left us with the hanger with nephew Tommy asking Jay and Joy where were they. And so they made us wait till this episode to find out where their relationship was. And so Nephew Tommy asked them, what's the status of the relationship? And did y'all hear that little slick comment that Jay said? He said, I want to give a Brian answer right here. Now, y'all remember Brian. Brian was the one that never answered questions. He was the one that was making up words. And, if you asked him if it was hot or cold, he would say, well, it's kind of warm, So, by the mere fact of him saying that, we already knew, not that we didn't know, like 7 episodes ago, we already knew what his answer was going to be. And so basically, Joy jumps in and she says, well, with everything that she's had going on in her life, they decide to put things on hold for right now. They're going to put it on pause right now. And so when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm reading that to say, no, we're not together, which she does eventually say that. So that means that, no, they're not together. Let me know if you are surprised. I am so not surprised. So I want to hear. I want to see the people that are surprised that they aren't together. I never thought that they would be together because I thought Joy liked Jay more than he liked her. I didn't think Jay liked anybody on the show. I think Jay was, on the show to tell you he's got a real estate company. And you need to, find out what it is, especially when he wore that hat. The day we found out that Joy's sister had passed, and he wore that hat when he was fishing. So I didn't think Jay liked anybody. So no, they're not together. They are building a friendship. They're building a friendship. And don't get me wrong, yes, building friendship is important for any long-lasting relationship you want to have. But we are building a friendship because she did mention that since they had been back in Houston, they had been on, first she said 1 date. Then she said, no, maybe 2 dates. That's not somebody you're trying to build a future with. You've been 2 dates? Yeah. They won't be, that won't be happening anymore. That is over. And well, I guess it was fun while it lasted. And then we get to see 2 of the people that got eliminated on the first show, Dani and Sam. And so Nephew Tommy pulls them up to the couch and he's talking about them. And Dani was and her name is Danielle, but they call her Dani. She was the one that everyone said gave her the homegirl friend vibe. They didn't get the romantic feeling vibe from her. And so they were asking, but do you think that hindered you in the process that everybody saw you as a friend and not as a love interest? And what she said was, well, don't you want your wife to be your friend? Don't you want someone that you can chill and kind of relax with, have fun with? That's the beginning of any relationship. And while I do believe that to be true, and I think that foundationally, every good relationship that's going to sustain itself, you just got to be friends. Men need to be attracted to you first before they want to be your friends. And okay, I'm gonna back that up. In my experience, men need to be attracted to you first before they decide they want to be your friend. If they haven't, that first vibe you give off, if it doesn't come off, any kind of romantic interest, you have been forever friended. So there's got to be some kind of attraction there as well. And so while she meant well, and I knew what she meant, she's gonna have to either do something different or find a man that is mature enough. I said it, mature enough to understand that all that other stuff may fade, but somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with, put teeth in a cup with, that's somebody you want to be your friend. You want to actually like that person as well as love that person. Then we have Sam. Sam was the most distant person that I think I ever seen on the show. He was like almost not there. But then we find out why Sam was so cold and distant and hard to get to know. People kept trying to get to know him, but he was just like, he was there, but nobody was home. And said, so here's what he said. He said he had a lot going on. And right before the show began taping, he found out that, yeah, he was about to have a child. Right. But it was too late to pull out of, being a part of the cast. So, yeah, he had a baby on the way. And this was baby number 3 from mother number 3. And so he said he had a lot to think about and process. So he wasn't fully there. So now I understand because Sam was, he was physically there, but he was never mentally, emotionally there. And so that's why he didn't last. And it probably was good that they eliminated him early, because it wouldn't have been fair to anybody else going in that situation. So they've had the most pregnancies on this show that I think I have ever seen. But anyway, of singles trying to get together, new babies. Anyway, this is a connection I never saw coming. Raymond and Shay. Shay was also giving off that kind of homegirl kind of vibe. She was the chef of the group, as well as Edwin. And if y'all remember Raymond, Raymond was the guitar player that traveled, I think, with Genuine and somebody else. And he had, 5 children from 5 different women. And everybody was kind of like, no, we won't be dating you. But come to find out that after this show, after the season wrapped up, that Raymond and Shay kind of connected. And so they're sitting on the couch, and, they had this thing where he would say that, it wasn't necessary to be married, that if you had this soul connection with the woman, that was all that was important. You didn't actually have to be married. And so, of course, all the women were like, okay, well, he needs to be gone, because we're here ready to love. That means we're ready to get married. And if this is somebody that doesn't see marriage as, vital, yeah, he's going to have to be eliminated. And so they asked him that question too. Nephew Tom was like, well, do you still feel like that? And he was like, well, if you're 10 years, you're living with somebody, it's the same thing. And Nephew Tom was like, no, actually, it's not. There's a different level of commitment when you make it legal and you go get married. There is a difference. And so Nephew Tommy, and y'all tell me how y'all feel about this in the comments, because Nephew Tommy asked him, he said, well, you and Shay are dating, and Simone's in the background. Yes, I've seen them. She cooked for him, and they're eating these crab legs, making googly eyes. And so they're talking about that. And so Nephew Tommy says, so what, is it romantic? And Raymond says, no. And did y'all hear Shay say, you lying? Yes, it is. And in my mind, I'm thinking, no, it's not. I don't know what y'all did. I don't know how far you went, but that man just told you, y'all kicking it. That's what he just said. You might not like that. That might not feel good to hear that, but he just told you on national TV that he's not that serious about you. Now, y'all can tell me if I read that wrong, but that's how I read that. Because when a man is asked if he's interested in you, and he really is, he's going to own up to it. But when he's really not, he's going to say, oh, no, we're just friends. She's like, no, but it ain't platonic. Yes, it is. Yeah, okay, that's just me. Y'all let me know if I'm reading that wrong, because in my mind, I'm thinking he's saying y'all might be friends with benefits, but he's not looking for it to be very much more than that. But that was, again, that's my take on that. That's how I read that. I don't know if that is what is really happening here, but that looks like what that might be, Shay. So I think you might want to, keep your options open. Keep your options open. Like our next young lady, who is always keeping her options open, Miss Naya and Chris. Y'all remember the tragic train wreck, that the relationship that never was, of Naya and Chris. They were joined from the hip, or at the hip, from the moment the season started. And then all of a sudden, when Raymond started talking about splitting mortgages and all of that, then Naya was like, I don't split mortgages. You got to pay for everything or you can't be with me. And that derailed their, entire relationship. And y'all remember the episode where they were in the, I keep forgetting what that little room is, the little deliberation room. And Nephew Tommy's like, so Naya, you really liking Chris? She's like, no. Oh, who is Chris? I was obliging his interests. I have never heard of that before, but I might have to use it. I was obliging his interests. And so Nephew Tommy asked Chris how they felt about it. But first, before he does, they roll back some B-roll, some tape of the actual incident. So they show him that. They also show her with Edwin. They show her showing out when she got eliminated and she made Rasheed talk to the couch because she wasn't hearing it. They heard her outtakes in the confessional, how she was going off on all of them, saying she didn't like any of them. She didn't even like Edwin, that, she had a boyfriend in Atlanta. That whole little debacle that happened, that went on, they get to see that, even the unseen footage of her talking about everybody on the show. Do they have their own teeth? Do they take care of their teeth? Just, do they bathe regularly? Oh, it was a whole thing, tirade that Naya went on when she found out she was eliminated. Excuse me. But here's what struck me, is the look on Chris's face. And here in my notes, I'm reading, it says Chris is still hurting from that. He was into Naya, like for real. He liked this woman, like, yeah. He thought that they were in a relationship, and Naya had her options open, as we see. And so I can still see him hurt and wounded on that couch as they were talking about that. And he's introspective. His face is downcast, and Naya's just kind of like, well, whatever. She is not moved by it because she never liked him. And so he said, hearing her in the room where they're making the deliberations, saying that she was only obliging his interest, he called that a gut blow. And that's the kind of blow you get when you are into somebody. You think that they are into you, and you find out they were just playing you. Because that's what, if she really felt like she said, she was playing him. And what she says in her defense, she says that the money talk wasn't the problem. The problem was because he shared it with other people. It wasn't that, he was talking about splitting mortgage and light bill and all of that. It was that he took that conversation and he shared it with other people. That's what got her in her feelings. Now, do I believe that? No, but that's what she said in her defense. That, I guess she's one of those people, like, what happens in this house stays in this house. And so what happens in this relationship stays in this relationship. But what I thought Chris was trying to do was, he was trying to salvage it because he knew he messed up. He knew he'd said the wrong thing by her reaction. So he's going to Joy. He's going to all his, the women, saying, hey, how do I fix this? I really like her. I know I messed this statement up. But she said they had already, quote unquote, talked about it and had fixed it. And it bugged her that after they fixed it, he went around sharing that information, trying to make sure he fixed it, because he said he apologized like 3 times that day. He was all in his feelings. It was one of the worst days, him trying to make sure that they were okay. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, Naya. Girl. Anywho, I didn't get it. And then we find out that Naya and Edwin are like trying to rekindle something. Now here is my take on that. After seeing Naya in all these situations, in my mind, I'm thinking, Edwin, for real? Like, you would even consider that? The way she just treated that man? You would, because how does Maya Angelou says, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. She has just showed you who she is, how callous she can be when dealing with somebody. Now, I don't know what she showed you, the two of you all, but people are who they are through and through. Who a person is with other people is who a person will be with you. Do not think you are the unicorn in the room that, oh, she's different with me. No, right now. But when the rubber meets the road, Naya is going to be Naya. If this is her real personality and this is not a persona she's acting in this reality show, that is who she is. And while it was Chris yesterday, it will be you tomorrow. Because even when she said in her confessional, I don't even like Edwin. He don't believe it. He was like, I just think that was in the moment, because she said she was just talking stuff, that she didn't really mean any of that. And so he believes that. My men. Typically what a woman says when she's mad is what she really means. If a woman is mad and she's like going on a tirade like that, that's what she means in her heart of hearts. She just doesn't have the courage to say it out loud, although it seems like Naya doesn't lack courage in any area. Woo, she seems to be full of courage. But I really believe she meant what she said in those confessionals, because she was mad and wounded that y'all was, eliminating her, and she thought she should stay to the end because she was that chick. But anyway, so and she even says that she doesn't wish she handled things differently. She thinks she handled things fine. And and this was one thing that she said that made me laugh. They were asking her, well, are you dating Edwin? She says, yes, I'm dating Edwin. I'm dating on the show. I'm dating off the show. If anybody's interested, I am open. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, Edwin, okay, I know you say you're busy with your business and, things, so you're not really looking for a relationship. But bruh, walk away from the fire. Do your inner work. Do your inner healing. Maybe that'll help you not pick a woman that is going to just, yeah. Anyway, but y'all pray for Chris. Pray for Chris, because at the end of it, Tommy asked him where he is. And so he says, he's just basically, he's not looking. He's just going to wait to be found. To which I was like, wait a minute, that ain't how it works. That ain't how it works. Bob say you have find this. You supposed to go find her. And I think he's so hurt right now that maybe he'll go look a couple of months down the road, 6 months, a year down the road, when he's healed and whole and he's ready. But right now he's like, I'm not looking. I'm gonna sit in the cut and I'm gonna wait to be found. I think that's hurt talking. I think he's just not ready to be out there, because he talks about how he loves hard. When he commits, and he is all in. He doesn't give you a part of him. If you're going to be in a relationship with Chris, he is going to be all in. So for all the ladies in Houston, whenever Chris gets healed, and Edwin too, whenever they get healed, y'all go look them up, because they ain't ready right now, but they might be ready later. And they are one women men. So y'all check them out later, but not right now. Give them a minute to get healed. And then we come up to Rasheed and Denise, and they talk about this whole colorism that we often have in the African American community. Remember, she made the comment that she thought that Rasheed was narcissistic. He had the traits. She kept saying that. She didn't say he was a narcissist, but he had the traits of a narcissist. She said, frat boy, light skin, and that struck a chord, because he was like, hold up, player, hold up. Because she was labeling him, and this was really early on, if you all remember, really, really early on in the show. And he was like, you don't know me, and now you're labeling me, and now people may have a preconceived notion of who I am based off of you making a statement, and you don't even know me to say that statement. You are thinking about, somebody that reminded you, that I reminded you of. That's not me, but that I reminded you of, that was a trigger for you. And now you are ascribing that to me. And he was telling her that wasn't fair. Now here's my trouble with Denise. She wouldn't even apologize. She didn't think an apology was necessary for what she said. And then everybody was like, she's like, we talked about it. We squashed it. And he was like, well, no, you never apologized, because you ascribed something to me that is not me. And it could have caused the ladies that were there to have a bad opinion of me. And even after the show, it could cause anybody that might be interested in me to have this preconceived notion of who I am. And that's not me. So he was telling her, that's the problem I had with your statement. Is not whether you meant it or not, whether or not it brought up feelings and it was a trigger for you and you weren't really saying it about me. People that hear that are going to think it's about me. So that was his issue, which he's very good at communicating. He's a very good communicator. But she still didn't think, well, it's, since everybody think I should apologize. And so everybody was like, well, no, it's not what we think. An apology is necessary. If you don't think it's necessary, then it doesn't even matter. And so she went through this whole thing about, whether or not she should apologize, which she gave this bogus apology. Well, these apologies that go like this. If you feel that I've offended you, then no, you've offended me. Just apologize. So that's a note to all of us. When you've offended somebody, don't do the little, if you feel, just apologize. Just apologize, whether you think they deserve it or not, whether you think you've done anything or not, honor them with an apology if you have hurt their feelings, whether you think it was warranted or not. And as they are having this conversation, then we hear Adriana and Denise, who y'all know they've had a beef the whole season because they both liked cow fighting. Now, Adriana's a lot of things, but I don't think she's vindictive and I don't think she's mean. And I believe the way that Denise treated her, or the way it seemed, and it was edited to seem how Denise treated her, was just really foul. It was out of sorts. Yes, you are interested in the same man, but you're on a dating show, and that's what y'all supposed to be doing, is dating a whole bunch of people. Now, up close and up personal, I'm sure that probably feels some kind of way, because I know me, if I see somebody that I'm interested in, frolicking in the tulips with some other woman, that's not gonna sit well with me either. And so they go back and forth about who does what, and just whatever. And I think Denise has a lot of soul searching to do, a lot of inner work to do, a lot of counseling and therapy is probably needed, because I think she's really hurt. She's really wounded because she's really, really defensive. And the way that she keeps you off of her is that big bark, that big that keeps you off of her. But that also keeps people that can be connected to her, that can befriend her, that could be probably in relationship with her. It's gonna keep them away because of her defense mechanism. And I think her anger and all of that, I think that's just a defense mechanism. So if you have any of that coming up and you work on it so that you can actually be with someone that's going to treat you well. So that's just, that was free. That was free. Work on that. And actually, I don't want to do that one right now. Let's go ahead. Adriana and Rasheed. Yeah. Adriana and Rasheed. Now, and I'm going to just go ahead and put this caveat right out there. I liked them together. But here's the thing. I wasn't there at that resort, and so I don't really know what went down. What I may have thought that he was the better choice for her, which we'll find out a little bit later. Anyway, while I might have thought that he was the better choice for her, she didn't think that. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. What matters is what she thinks. What matters is what she wants, who she thinks that she connects better with, who she thinks works better for her. And so she goes to say, first of all, that they didn't, well, Rasheed makes this correction, that Adriana didn't ghost him before the show. They mutually ghosted each other because they were both just fresh out of relationships. He was just fresh out of his marriage. She was just fresh out of a relationship. They both said it was really, really awkward, and they realized that they weren't ready to be dating anybody else. So they both just stopped seeing each other. And they both were really happy when they saw each other as part of the cast, because they were thinking, hey, now we can see if there was ever anything there. Adriana said, I thought it was the universe, bringing us together, and, maybe we were supposed to be, connected or whatever. And she said that, they started off really strong, and we saw how they started off really strong, but it fizzled out when, and I call him King Calvin. When King Calvin came around, it was, I'm so sorry, Rasheed, it was just over, because there was something about Calvin that Adriana was smitten with. I mean, smitten with, that she just, I guess in her mind, he was a better connection. She felt more comfortable with him. She felt more connected to him. And so when Rasheed saw that, as probably any person, male or female, would have done, he started withdrawing. He started pulling away. He was preserving his heart, because remember, all this time, he's been, into her. He may have dated other people, but everybody knew that Adriana was his number one. And up until King Calvin stepped in, Rasheed had been Adriana's number one. But things shifted. I don't know what conversation Calvin and Adriana had, but it shifted it. And I always think about this when I think about Rasheed. He said, I will court you really, really hard. I will come after you if there's mutual interest. But then he made the caveat, but I will not chase you. If I see you running through the tulips with somebody else, I ain't chasing after you because you was somebody else. I'm going to take that as my cue that you are no longer interested or that your interests have shifted. And so he's in self-preservation mode, and we can't blame him for that. We can't blame him for that, And she mentions, she just wanted, Rasheed to fight for her. Were you fighting back? Anyway, that's another whatever. And so Tommy asked them, hey, why do you all think it didn't work? And Rasheed responds, I just think that we're at different ages and at different stages in life. To which Adriana responds, you wouldn't have said that if I would have chose you. Wasn't that just like shade? She was like, let me hit you with this, brother. If I'd have chose you, it wouldn't have been no different ages and stages. I don't know, maybe that makes you feel better, but that is not the truth. But here's the thing. I think he's right. Because if she was at a different age and stage, she would likely have made a different decision. Because she would have said, okay, these butterflies, and like her friend told her, this is lust for King Calvin. But this may be something real. This may be something stable that I can build a relationship on that is going to last. Because these butterflies, all these nice little feelings, all these nice little whatever, this infatuation, it is going to shift and change. Do I have anything solid to hang it on? And I'm not saying she doesn't, because I don't know. I wasn't there. And we didn't see everything. So maybe it was. But from the clips they showed us, it was a good little lust there going on. And not King Calvin fine now. So, I mean, I can't say I'm mad because he's a very nice looking man. One of my viewers laughed at me. She said because I called him a tall cup of coffee. And he is. But yeah. And so I think Miss Adriana was mesmerized. Mesmerized. But anyway, that's another story. So let's drop down to Calvin and Denise. Tommy brings them up and he asks Denise, why was it so hard for her to see Adriana and Calvin together? And Denise says, it wasn't hard. I know what you're talking about. It wasn't hard. I don't know why everybody keeps saying about this jealous thing. And the whole cast, if y'all go back and look at it again, the whole cast is looking at her like, what? You wasn't jealous. It wasn't hard for you. What? Are you kidding? Who's zooming who? Yes, it was hard for you. You couldn't hardly stomach seeing the two of them together. We all know this. And so it was interesting how Calvin said, sometimes you cannot see yourself because it's you, but others have a perspective of you that you don't have, and they can see things that you cannot see. And sometimes when they present that to you, it's how you receive it. If you're not ready to receive it, you won't ever be able to see it. Basically, he's telling her, everybody saw that you were jealous and that it was a problem for you. But when we said that to you, you weren't ready or in a place to receive it. So you keep telling everybody on this set, all the millions of viewers that saw it, that you didn't have a problem. And we're looking at you like, oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. It's too bad that you can't see it. But maybe in the future, something can happen and you will be able to see that you were livid. You were the green-eyed monster. Jealousy had you all of the way. And now we drop down to our last couple, Adriana and Calvin. And of course, we all want to know, after all this drama of who Adriana's going to pick and how this is going to, go, and Calvin letting Denise go, how is this wonderful, beautiful couple now doing? Now, y'all remember I told y'all none of these couples going to make it right. So we know, okay, no, before we go there, the first question that Nephew Tommy asked Calvin is, he says, why did you end up picking Adriana? And I'm going to read this line. Calvin says, anything less would have been uncivilized. Ouch. Anything. Now, y'all know that made Denise mad, because he's saying me picking you would have been uncivilized. How that's a dagger. That hurts. Like, tell me you preferred her, but don't tell me that I would have been an uncivilized choice. And so, which it does hurt Denise, to which she replies, But oh, you ain't have no choice. I left. Technically, you didn't leave. Technically, let's see, I can't even think of his name now. They told you they were no longer interested. They were pursuing other people. So technically, you didn't have a choice. It wasn't that he didn't have a choice. You, Miss Denise, didn't have a choice. You had exited the show. Yeah. So we know you were hurt because that whole uncivilized that comment that was deep. He cut you deep. But yeah, he had a choice. Anyway, and so nephew Tommy asks, like, so where are you all now? And yeah, I love how the women are answering all the questions. Like Joy answered for their situation, and now Adrienne is answering for this. Anyway, so Adriana says, well, when we got back to Houston, he asked me out to dinner because he wanted to talk. And he told me that his ex had come back into the picture and that his kids already knew and had a relationship with her. So he was going to pursue her. Then nephew Tommy asked her, well, how soon after? He said, well, when I got back, there was a note on my door. So nephew Tommy was like, wait a minute, the next day, like immediately, we leave the resort. You go home. There is a note on your door, and the relationship is over. Like, I think I'm gonna get back with, yeah, Suzette. Yeah, we gonna be back together. And so, nephew Tommy says, well, what do you think that you're gonna move forward with this? That you're gonna marry her? And he's like, oh yeah. Now that's, to me, that's even worse than, you're getting back home, you try it out and it doesn't work. You don't even have time or an opportunity to see if what you cultivated on the resort can actually work in your real day-to-day life. You don't even have the opportunity because, y'all watch out for these exes because knock, 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 like, you know what? Calvin, I still love you. And it was over, like done. He just said, she already knows, my kids, they love her, and yeah, we're gonna move on, and yeah, we're gonna live happily ever after. I'm so sorry. Adriana could tell is crushed, and so she begins to wonder if the relationship that they were cultivating and growing on the resort, if that was even real. Because who wouldn't think that immediately either it wasn't real or it wasn't much. You couldn't have thought very much about it if immediately you got back home, sister girl from blast from the past comes in and says, I want you back, and you're like, okay. And you just like drop her like that. That's hurtful. And you could see hurt. I don't know if it was more hurt or embarrassment or a little bit of both for Adriana, because I think I would have been both. I'd have been hurt. I'd have been embarrassed because here I am. I've let somebody else go because I thought our connection was better. And then we didn't even get a chance to, foster that relationship because you decided you're going to go back to your ex. And Tommy asked her, when that happened, did you think about Rasheed? She was like, yeah, immediately. Aha. Now, and here's the truth. If she had selected Rasheed, it might not have worked with him either. I don't think he would have, like, anyway, but just, yeah. So women, be careful. Choose for real things. Now, I am the last person that tells you that you shouldn't go for looks because yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that physical attraction isn't important because I believe it is, but it has to be more than just physical attraction and infatuation. It has to be more foundational things that you think about that helps you pick a good man. Helps you pick a good man. And here's one last thing before I wrap up. After that, nephew Tommy looks at Rasheed and he says, "Hey, well, now that Adriana is single, what do you think? You think you would, entertain that idea?" And so as Rasheed is answering that question, and you can tell from the tone of what Rasheed is saying, he's trying to say, no, I wouldn't. Calfani and Adriana have this side conversation going on. They are not even paying attention. And so Rasheed is saying, after seeing how she was with Calfani, their interaction and da 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 da, you can tell that he's going down the lines and he's getting ready to say, no, I wouldn't consider her. you know that that's coming. But she can't hear that because she's having this sidebar conversation with Calvin. And so nephew Tommy's like, hold on, what y'all talk about? Calvin is concerned because he's like, no, while we were on, the resort, those were real feelings. They were real shallow, but they but they were real feelings. They had to be real shallow because he threw her to the curb like it was nothing. And so he's trying to fix that because he knows that that was horrible. To put someone through what he just put her through it wasn't right. And so I think he's trying to clean that up. And so nephew Tom is like, so you didn't hear nothing that Rasheed just said? She's like, hey, no. And so he's like, you know what? That's the point right there. You don't have any focus. That's why you can't find nobody. You don't have any focus. But anyway, so what we see is that the show closes. That's it. Nobody is walking out as a couple. But there are some possibles. And so I want to throw up the possibles. Here are our possibles. David and Alex didn't connect on the show, but connected afterwards. They're going on a date. We'll see where that goes. Raymond and Shay, they are a possible. Do I think they'll make it? Absolutely not. Now, David and Alex, I like both of them. They might make it. Maybe. I don't know. Raymond and Shay, I think that won't be here next month. But anyway, Jay and Joy, they're a possible. They're building a friendship. Do I think that'll work? Nope. And Naya and Edwin. Edwin better run for the hills and just find him a nice person at the church and going on with Jesus. Because, they were not ready for love. They were ready to be on TV. And, I don't think any of them will, I don't think any of that will happen. I am hoping that if OWN does another season, that I want them to pick people that are really ready for love. Now, I know this is reality TV, and I know that some level of acting and all of that has to come into play. But if you could pick some people that are really ready for love, that are not just ready to up-level their businesses, so they get on a show like this, so that now we can know their names, and now we can buy all their products and services and buy properties from them and buy cars and all of that. That's all fine and well. We could do a show of that, young professionals, y'all can call it that or whatever. But on a regular love show, we want to see some people that are actually really ready to love, ready to make a connection, ready to make a commitment. Because most of this just seems like I'm just ready to get on TV, so I can let you know that I'm a life coach, or I can let you know that I'm a realtor, I can let you know that I'm a luxury car salesman, or I can let you know all of that. And I'm a chef, and I want to do some. We COVID, so I need to do some home parties. Find us some real people. Will Packer, nephew Tom, and OWN. Find us some real people that are actually really ready to love, so that we can watch their process. I hope you all have enjoyed our recap and reviews of Ready to Love. Y'all, I have been watching Married at First Sight, and I'm really thinking about doing that one, Married at First Sight. I am loving it. I'm especially loving that there is a Christian couple on that show, and so I probably will start doing, they're on episode 2 now, so I'll probably start reviewing that, and maybe I'll bring a guest on some of the reviews with me, and we can chat it up together. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in, having a review of Married at First Sight. Oh, it's very, very interesting. And if you'd be interested in being a guest if I do that. Also, want to let you know, I just dropped a video with the top, I believe it's 7 things for business tools, strategies, things you need to be doing on my YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, check that out. And lastly, before we sign out, remember for my life coaching, I'm having a class, Discover Your Brilliance, for women that want to know your purpose. You're tired of guessing and, hearing other people, but you're ready to kind of dig in and find out some tips, tools, and strategies to know who God called you to be. I want you to join me on Thursday at 8 o'clock. There is going to be a link in the comments and in the description box. So go ahead and click it. It is free, but you must register to a 10. I love you all, and I thank you so much for joining me, and I will look to see you all later. Have a good evening.